And good evening, everyone. This is Gary Rebin, and welcome to episode 75 of New York Red Bulls Discussion Group, the podcast. Lots to talk about as we come to the international break, and thank goodness for that. I mean, that's a lot of games that's played up until now, and we'll definitely discuss that in length. I mean, it was a very bad night for some of us, but for everybody else, so we're going to discuss that in length. Of course, that's the match preview between the New York Red Bulls and, of course, Orlando City FC. And, of course, shortly after the break, we're going to talk about where do we go from here. A lot of work that needs to be done for Troy, Lassane, and crew. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, and no, there's not a train approaching them at high speed. We're also going to talk about Gotham FC playing in front of a record crowd, New York Red Bull 2 facing off against New England Revolution 2 in the final there. Of course, naturally, final thoughts and predictions, of course, in the week ahead. And, of course, naturally, if you missed the live show, please don't worry about it. The recording will be available on our YouTube channel and, of course, on Spotify.com the very next day. You can also check out our previous episodes there as well. And if you have any questions, comments, complaints, hot takes, you can always send them our way even after we're no longer on air on our email address at rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. That's rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. And a special shout out to two of our members. Happy birthday to Seth Hewling and Raheem Dulafakar. Happy birthday to you both. Of course, we hope you enjoy whatever your day is, and we can have to chat or have a beer later on. So, with that all said, I mean, there's much, of course, to discuss. Of course, but I can't, of course, get things going unless I bring in two of my wonderful, my partners, Mr. Mark Coates and the one and only the model, Lanre Badmus. But before we begin, Lanre, I got a bone to pick with you, son. You. I got a big bone. I'm big mad about you. Okay,
What's up?
Okay, I got people coming at me. Okay, all this week. Silvana Galvana's Bundesheim. I'm sure you remember her. She's a member of the group. She pulls me over to the side, right on on Facebook. Say, yo, you got to come get your boy, Lanre.
What?
Why? I'm like, no, hey man, come, go talk to your boy. I'm like, all right. I have no idea what the heck she's talking about. So I go on Facebook and go through the posts and stuff like that. And what do I see? I see this. Now, what in the world? What is your what is your damage? Okay. Do you have any idea that this type of stuff come back to me? Okay, it's bad enough I got to deal with the fire bomber in chief, which is, of course, Miguel Nunez, who's not on air tonight. But you went after the fans over this?
You forgot about the tortillas.
Over this. All right, I need you to explain this to me before we begin. You got about a minute. So go ahead. I'm listening. What's this all about? Okay. First Lisa last week. Now you this Week. What's wrong with you guys in the Viking army?
What's
wrong with you two?
Do not condemn all of us for the actions of a few.
Yeah, come on.
What's with you guys?
Spoil the bun. Don't even.
What is this?
A rotten apple. Nothing.
All right, you need to explain this. People actually stay for the fireworks and have a trash result like that. All right, if you're mad at the boys for laying an egg in front of all those good folks, okay, I got you. But you're gonna go after the fans. Are gonna have to because they came by to have a little fun. Really?
No, look.
Really?
I posted it in this group, in that group, in our group, and in the Viking Army group.
Okay, really?
Group, I made a little addendum that said, "Yo, it's a shame that the team it's such a trash performance, such a trash ruined fireworks night for everybody else." Because originally, people in the VA group took it the same way. They're you're really criticizing fans, or you really hate fun. I think Silvana actually commented on my post that, like, "Oh yeah, you must really hate fun," or some crap like that. I didn't even respond. I just laugh because I'm like,
well,
hey, I'm not criticizing the fans. If nobody even understands that, then like I got feedback in the Viking Army group when I made that same post saying like, oh, dude, like it sounds like you're like criticizing the fans. You weren't even at the game. And I'm like, yo, I had a Nigerian birthday party to attend. Yo, it I swear
mean,
to God.
you need to understand some things, okay? People bring this to me, okay, because I'm an admin of the group. So imagine I was like, put this guy, a member of my team, and he does this to me. Thank you very I got burned, okay? Straight up burned. I had no defense. I had to sit there and take it, okay? Because my teammate did this. You set fire to the fans. Let's talk about the game, in hand. We're not going to go through
fire to things. Let's go.
Right. So, yeah. Talk about yes. Yeah.
About to begin.
Why did I have this ridiculous feeling of dread the minute I saw these guys wearing those ridiculous yellow uniforms?
Please.
At home, no less. At home, no less.
Those things
but
are horrible.
I really don't blame. Okay, to blame the uniform is like a carpenter basically blaming his tools.
Yeah.
Okay, when he builds a house upside down. I'm in the mindset that I want to take every stitch of those uniforms, take it to a dumpster, set it on fire, never to be seen again. Okay, they're gonna have no choice but to wear either red or black. Okay, so it seems that we don't do so well whenever our boys wear those kits. I know it was designed by some fashion designer, which nobody has really never heard of. But it was a bad night. I mean, 3 goals let down by the defense. Both of them scored, by their forward. We knew this was coming. Okay. They are not afraid to play in our house and beat us in our house. That's 4 straight losses to Orlando City. They are a crew coached by a guy that knows how to beat teams in big games like this. They got them rolling right now. So for Troy and his peeps, and I'm going to start with you, Mark. Referee calls aside.
Oh, don't start me on that.
Referee. We're not going to talk about him right now. All right.
How about the hot pink? How about the hot pink referee uniforms? Our record is pathetic.
Let's not talk about him right now. Okay, the second coming of Ricardo Salazar. Let's just put him off to the side for a second. There were some issues on the field, lots of them, and I'm sure that you had your red marker ready. Helene Kraft Rudolph. Hats off to her. She did a terrific job on the thread. She spared no one. Okay, right. I'm
gonna use a little prop.
Okay,
it's time for the panic button. Wait, there it is.
Seriously,
it's the panic button.
Seriously,
I've got it in hand.
All right, tell me why. Tell me why we need. Listen, tell me why we got to hit the button.
We experienced the new coach bounce, which was great, but this congestion on this schedule. With all the injuries that have piled up, guys not here. Everybody's speaking about why are we starting?
I like to talk. I like to talk to the schedule makers. You psychotic sons of.
I can't even begin to imagine. Like Troy is going to have gray hair like me by September, at the rate things are going. It's just, in case everybody doesn't know, big announcement. Mm-hmm. We're most probably going to lose a certain midfielder for the rest of the season.
Well,
all right. We are just awaiting the MRI. We're waiting
the official report.
Right. Okay. It looks like Morgan may be out the rest of the season. We don't know.
Which is a tragedy among itself. I mean,
right. Yeah, but you had that happen last night. Mm-hmm. Cam Harper, who has normally been a solid player, played like crap, and got himself red carded. So he was suspended for this game. We have got guys just lining the bench with hamstring injuries. He doesn't have the bodies he needs to put out there. No. And I was watching the first half with my wife, and we're sitting there, and I'm watching Burke's shot. It goes over the bar. I saw Greg had posted up the old, it's good for the field goal, because I don't think that thing landed yet. I was like, and then he falls on the ground, putting his hands to his. I'm like, yeah, dude, you hit it like 60 feet over the bar. Where the hell were you kicking the ball to? And I can only imagine, Troy's pulling his hair out on the sidelines. Like, why can't my guys put the ball in it? And as much as nobody likes to say the words Tom Barlow, the dude's shot went about 1.5 feet over the bar. At least it was close to being on frame. He's giving his all. Either you don't like him, you don't like him. That's your choice. But those are the bodies we have out there. Manuel,
that's all we got.
Manuel has done nothing. I have not seen much of anything that would warrant him even being brought back.
I'm a little tired of the cameo appearances by Van Zier. Yes, I know people are, still got the pitchforks and torches about assumingly what he said in all Lanray.
Yeah.
Lanray. I mean, look, as Yogi Berra once said, it's getting late early. Okay. You're stuck on 4 wins. Well, that's the bad news. The good news is if you somehow get it together, and I mean really get it together, okay, you have a chance to leapfrog some teams in this homestand. So you and I looked at the home schedule, okay, after the break. We're going to, there's an international break. You got guys playing in the U.S. Open Cup. You got guys, there's a smattering of games or regular games that they got to finish out the schedule and such. But when the Red Bulls get back together on the 21st on Wednesday night, they have yet another opportunity to catch up on some dudes. You have told me straight up, don't hope for this. Tell me why. And tell everybody else why. Don't hope for this.
Don't hope for this.
And you were dead serious. And you were dead. He was about as dead serious as I can remember. So
okay.
You see something that I don't?
Well,
remember, I'm just a cockeyed optimist. I mean, hit me with reality if you like.
I try to be more optimistic, but I mean, number one reason, what Mark just said. If Lewis Morgan is out for the rest of the season, this team is going to have a really difficult time trying to, make any real playoff push, because he's one of the only guys on the team who can really create his own shot, find his own space.
He's our only skilled offender. That's basically it.
Him and Luquinhas, but yeah.
And Luquinhas, if he's not being bodied by every damn defender in the league, and trying to put him through the grass, he gets he does he's very creative and he's a baller. But every night they put that man in a box. Okay. Every damn night they put him in the box. So somebody has to step up, and I don't see it. The fans don't see it. Okay. Even folks that hate this squad don't see it. So that's an issue. I mean, it's which is probably the reason why I said straight up, okay, you're all happy that Struber's gone. Let's face it, he was a hot mess. Okay, but why didn't you fire him before the beginning of the season? Okay, you waited until 1/3 of the season, then you pieced him out. Too late now. You're stuck. Now I'm glad for Troy, but I know people are going to come after me for this. Okay, and I'm being drop dead serious, Mark Lanray.
Yeah.
He's called an interim manager for a reason. Okay. This is an interview. Okay. Now, yes, we don't play for the playoffs, as we hear a lot of guys in the group that love to yell at me about that, and that's fine and that's fair. But for this fan base, for this franchise, making the playoffs is the minimum requirement, especially how many teams that get there. Okay. So you not making the playoffs, to me, that's a fireable offense. Okay. You gotta go. Regardless of what type of garbage thing. I mean, we've had rosters that were less, and somehow they made it. Okay. They did one push. Of course, naturally, that led up to, they led up to a cameo appearance in the playoffs, and they were done. Okay. But still, okay. Troy, I mean, we asked Troy after the match. Of course, he recognizes and he apologizes that, there was a bad result in front of the fans. He was not satisfied. He was not happy. No coach would be happy after a performance like this. Okay. But despite that, there is light in the end of the tunnel, and I'll tell you why. These 3 games we're looking at here, they're versus quality opponents. I can understand your dread, Lonray.
Yeah.
Among them is the first one we got to face is Charlotte, which is always a knife fight. Okay.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, last I checked in the schedule, last I checked in the standings, they're slightly above Montreal. We are right there, Montreal and us. They got 19 points. They got 21. So there's that opportunity. You're playing at home. But any excuses that they have that you want to blame the jerseys or any places out the window, okay? Dudes need to produce. I need to see the guy that you spend $5 million on starting every game.
Yeah. No
every game. From this point on, every game. I need to see midfield start feeding that front line like they hungry. That's what's not happening. Okay, it's like watching a basketball team with a point guard that passes to everybody else but their own guys. Okay, that's hysterical. I mean, to me, you don't drive, you don't dish, you don't shoot, but you pass it. You pass it to the other guys.
Dribble in circles and
right,
for the best,
basically.
Right? Yeah.
So that drives me nuts a little bit. Okay, it also drives me nuts that something I wrote earlier, which drove my frustration. Red Bull Leipzig, remember them? Okay, those guys in Germany where just about the entire blasted country hates. Okay, you think we're hated? Try being in Leipzig for about 1 second. Everybody in Leipzig loves you. Everybody outside that town hates your guts. Okay, literally hates your guts. People think I'm joking when I said that. Yeah, check the interwebs. They get death threats once in a while. That's how much I hate it over there because Red Bull is doing something that is upsetting the apple cart of how things are done in football in Germany. They collected their second trophy, which is basically the DFL Pokal, which is the equivalent of U.S. Open Cup, which is way, 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 way bigger than us. Okay. You should see how they do the final. Talk about a Hollywood production. The only thing that can beat that is England with their FA Cup, and it's well known. Everybody watches that. But back to the story I'm trying to say here. Obviously, it's working in Leipzig. We know that Salzburg was winning trophies left and right. We know this, okay? Bragantino never won a trophy yet, but they're winning games. They're getting there.
Yeah.
So what's Harrison's excuse? Now, I get, Mark, there's a lot of, how should we say, I'm done being politically correct. There's a lot of clowns, clowns running the show, okay? Dudes that we scratch our head wondering, how does this guy still got a job?
Yeah, I'm not going to name names because I don't have to, but the gentleman in question, he was at the Red Bull 2 game last night, and as soon as he saw myself and one other individual getting up out of the stands at the end of the match, that man took off running. He didn't want to hear it.
I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he's tired of hearing the same questions. But you know what?
That's your job.
Fans, right.
That's your job.
Have questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Those fans have questions. They're looking at a team, for all intents and purposes, they're spinning their wheels. You spent, your other teams have spent, just one guy in a group. I'm gonna get his name very quickly. One person in the group said it best. I'm going to bring that up because I want to give him all the credit in the world because it was a perfect post. Just 1 second. Yeah. Now all of a sudden my website is now not working. It was just, I brought this, picture up. this question up, like, why in the world isn't it working? I mean, I know I'm not going to get an answer. I know I'm not going to get a single answer by all this, but it just doesn't make sense at this. I mean, when I see other clubs and everybody else doing their thing, and we look foolish, other teams that make other franchises are basically making history. We make mistakes. How frustrating that is when you have a team that has basically all the resources to actually, make this happen, and they don't. I mean, it's almost like I want to go back to the year 2018, and grab,
no.
and grab Jesse Marsh and just say, don't you dare leave. Okay.
No, it happened.
July 2018. Take us back to July 2018 so we could just scream in Jesse Marsh's face, bro. Don't you dare leave, man. Don't you dare leave. We're never gonna get it as good as you got it here, man. You're building
not just that. No, if you're gonna, my thing is this. If you're gonna leave, my thing is like this. If you're gonna leave, finish the job.
Yeah. Do it at the end of the season.
That's all I'm saying. Finish the job. I mean, that's the one thing I'm gonna hold over his head.
Finish what you started. And
you started something here. Okay?
Listen, he took so much abuse, all right, when he first got here.
Right.
All right. And everybody was jumping on Alec Curtis. That, what are you bringing this guy? And you look
John
at what he did.
wanted to kill him.
But the guy,
my boy, John Simone, why you fire Pecker? He wanted to kill everybody in that room. Okay. He got going. You're not going to stop him. You can't contain him. Big boy.
Like I said, but look at the result. Look at what happened. We had no idea that was coming. And
the only thing, let me not to interrupt you, Mark. Not to interrupt you, Mark. He took the fan base by the scruff of the neck and said, "Let's go." That got my attention. This is a baller I hated when he was with the Fire. Hated his guts. He always had that fire. He always had the desire. Every game he played, wanted to fight. Dude wanted to fight. Dude was proud, wearing blood on his face because he went nose to nose with them, then dared to step up on him. It was a ball. I told him this. I hated you, but I love you as my coach. That's what we needed. We needed someone who was going to say, okay, I'm going to show you what was possible. And that team had that type of swagger. Everybody remembers how we went down to Mexico and punched one club in the face. That lit up everybody. Like, did you see what the Red Bulls did?
Tijuana?
Do you see what the Red Bulls did? Nobody does that to the Mexico club. But we did.
We did it.
We did. And then like everybody said, okay, come at us. Look, we already hate it. We don't care. Come at us. Oh, that was lovely. It was absolutely lovely. I haven't seen something like Moxie like that since the 2000 season. Everybody remembers the Metro Stars 2000 season. That, oh boy, it was like watching a video game, baby. I don't. They were fun to watch. And there you go.
But that was you got to remember 2000 followed the 1999 was probably our worst year. It's it's unfortunately that's how life works sometimes. You have to go through the crap to get to the goal.
I mean, we've been through it all. No fan base has been through much nonsense than us. Okay. None.
No, we had when we were talking about the article in question, which I tell you, we were on I don't even know how long we were, 45 minutes. We had our own little chat this morning. Yeah. We were just every single point in that article is what we've been talking about for the last 2.5 years on this podcast. And the first year I was only a guest host, but we keep saying the same things. Gary, how many times have you and I both said, why are we not looking at some of these USL guys? Why? Yeah. These are quality players. You have guys who are 23, 24, 25 years old. So they're
rocking it. And they ain't bums.
Right. They're not bums.
They're not bums.
They're not
playing
over
for a contract. Most of those guys down there, and I want to bring to Mark's point, they're playing for an MLS contract.
Yeah. They got that fire. They got the desire in them, man.
Hell yeah.
Balling. And you ain't looking at these guys? What is wrong? I mean, these guys can be helpful. We sent them arguably on a loan. Now he's there permanently. One of our best young midfielders to Tampa Bay.
Jake LaCava.
I love that kid. LaCava.
Do you know why?
Sent him away. Why?
Yeah, because he didn't fit our system.
No, it wasn't. We had two.
It wasn't just that.
You had one guy who was a scruboni, but you wasn't gonna get rid of him. But you're gonna trade away LaCava.
They just gave him away, and Raffanello just scored a hat trick for Philly too.
Stop!
He went home.
Yeah,
he went home. You had these guys in holding patterns.
Yeah,
but you had these guys in holding patterns. I wrote about these guys. I interviewed these guys. They're ballers. What?
The front office wasn't going to pay the fee to get Raffanello because they didn't know what they were getting. They looked at a certain Caden Clark, who is nowhere over in Leipzig right now.
It's on the bench somewhere.
Right. But where did we spent all the money to get his rights from Minnesota? Right. And for what? For what? So we could sell him on? Yeah, we made money.
I mean,
it's a business.
I mean, to be fair, there's some guys that shouldn't have walked away. We threw money at them. Miazga, who said, "Look, I'm going to Chelsea." Went to Chelsea, went to another club, went to another club, went to another club. Finally came back, and now he's rocking it with Cincinnati. He's anchoring that defense. Anytime when I see an ex-Red Bull do well someplace else, I want to punch a wall. No, I don't want to punch. You
like seeing Felipe on Saturday.
Felipe,
yeah. I mean,
he was one half of the best midfield we ever had. Okay, in history, it was the midfield that ate MLS. Him and Dax.
I can see
Felipe up front, Dax in the back.
You need to just let Lonray go. I can see him brewing.
I mean, to me, it's the incompetence. To me, it's the incompetence. To me, it's we got guys who mean well, but have no idea what they're doing. Because I've seen this before. Seen this during the MetroStars days. Seen this when AEG just simply, frankly, didn't care. Okay, now we got Red Bull, the organization, a lot of money, a lot of moxie, all that good stuff. Okay, I thought things were going to turn around. It did to a degree. Okay, we did get a home out of it and such. A place that I've only seen that place filled up like, I don't know, twice during the time I've been there. Okay. Once when it opened, once when Henry played Miguel's favorite club, Arsenal, but that was about it. Okay. All-Star game when we got destroyed by Manchester United. Okay. That was basically it. We're not going to get any more than maybe 85, 90% full. And that's okay. That's okay. To me, is you want to have, sustainability to make it look like a big club. And it seems to me that you step back just a little bit too much, and it has all the feels, of course, as a minor league team. I kind of disagree with that. Minor league teams are bigger, honestly. Okay.
It's just getting more and more embarrassing to support this club every single gosh darn year. Playoff failure after playoff failure. Less than zero accountability for people like Dennis Hammond and Mark DeGrandre. And yet, guess what? What do we do? We keep coming back every single year.
Yeah.
No hesitation. You know what? Let me give these guys more of our money.
Masochists. Psychos. That's why.
This is going to be our year. No, we are the Tottenham Hotspur of MLS.
He went there.
He went there. Yes, he did. The only difference between us and Tottenham, to be honest, is that they got better ballers than we do.
There's no comparison. It's actually quite insulting.
I would kill to have Son. I'm serious. I would kill to have Son.
Okay.
I would kill to have Harry. on our side. I mean,
I really go to jail to have those guys run this club.
Yeah, gladly. I'll spend the rest of my years in prison watching you guys win a cup with those dudes. Okay, in the front line.
As long as it just seems like as long as this club makes the playoffs every season, it feels like the higher up brass, everything is okay. Nope, everything is not okay. And there was this brilliant article that I think we're gonna get into
after the
break. A little bit after the break on Medium. That I think Gregory Martinez is the guy's name. He posted. I
met him. Good guy.
Everything, and I mean everything that has been wrong with this club.
I met him. He was he was among the That's So Metro crew, and when I mean crew, what a crew. Okay, he basically, whatever you agree with it or not, it's quite an article, and then something we're going to discuss shortly after that, where the Red Bulls go from here. And before we do that, let me just read something here from Nick Colombo. Leipzig spent 60 plus million euros and brought in 25 players. Yeah, yes, you read that right, but most were second team. Salzburg spent 40 plus million and brought in 9 players. Bragantino, 10 million, brought in 15. You following along right now?
Yes.
Red Bull New York spent 5 on one player who they basically started twice. This is why, okay, I'm a little tired of the, occasional, we're going to start him one day, then we're not going to start him next week, or we're not going to start him the week after. I'm wondering what's the deal here. Is he injured? Is he hurt? Is he fit? Is he not? Okay. You've been away for a while, almost a month and a half. You did some training on the side. I know there's a big difference between training on the training pitch and game day shape. How in the world you're not going to give this guy? I mean, if you're not going to give this dude, some time to do damage, then what are you doing? We're going to discuss that and a heck of a lot more with everybody here as we get back from the break. For first, final scores from week 17 of Major League Soccer. Be back in 30 seconds. Okay, as you saw, the next match will be taking place on the 21st of June on the Wednesday. Our next show is on the 19th. So we're all going to take a break. Thank goodness, at this whole juncture. And then we're right back at it on the 19th. The original 3 will be on, of course, at your service for next Monday night. Now, if you ever have been onto the website known as Medium, they definitely have some articles, definitely worth reading and stuff like that. It's a good, to discover stories of thinking, expertise, and a topic. One of them just happens to be soccer, and a gentleman that you just mentioned earlier by the name of Gregory Martinez. Now, Gregory Martinez used to be hanging around with the boys at Once a Metro, and he was at the game, believe it or not. And here's, when he wrote this, okay, there's 3-0 favor in the away side, and the home fans doing the wave. Is well one of the worst Red Bull seasons of recent memory, and the stadium is loud as a pack in the entire year. Loyalty? Not quite. It's fireworks night at Red Bull Arena, and apart from the faithful few supporter sections, the typically cobweb-bearing sections of the building are filled with newcomers or casual fans looking to have a good time with their kids on a breezy night in Harrison. The disconnect between the dejected looks on the field, somber feelings, and setting in, and more of the tuned in side of the fan base, and the cheery atmosphere in some of the in the home stadium is striking and almost surreal. To blame the people for trying to have a good time is slightly pompous. I agree. To blame the front office for trying to create a good time is rather pedantic. Also, I agree. But in reality, the image of such a depressing sporting occasion and contrasting what was supposed to be a festive night, eerily similar to the gloomy defeat of the Philadelphia Union during Star Wars Night a month prior, is emblematic of the state of the fan culture surrounding the 2023 New York Red Bulls. Now, this is something that, Mark, you and I have discussed many times. For a team that has New York in front of his name, it certainly doesn't feel like a New York club. I'll even go even further controversial here, Mark, and echo what my girlfriend suggested. Change your name to New Jersey, be done with it. Because you're not a New York club. Not anymore. Your thoughts, sir?
The whole New York, New Jersey debate to me doesn't make a difference, because to me it's Metro New York, and that's why they had the name Metro Stars. We were discussing that this morning.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the name is. What we witnessed was surreal.
Yeah.
This is the first time my wife and I both attended the game together. We left our kids to deal with them, the video games and the pizza by themselves. They're old enough to be on their own now. It was supposed to be a nice night out. I see my friends. I'm at the Viking Army tailgate, having a good time, talking with some people. Go in, get settled, getting ready for 90 minutes of fun, or so we thought. Watching this game, and the ineptitude of our team. It was sad. It was absolutely sad. We can blame the referees all we want. We can blame the kits all we want. The guys on the field just weren't getting it done. And then Reyes goes off with the red card. Obviously not
yellows.
Yeah. So he goes off, and then 15 minutes later, you see Morgan fall on the ground. And all I'm thinking is, that's our season. If this guy can't get up, this could be our season. Because we've been pinning our hopes on seeing him come back and ball and make a difference, because Luquinhas is back now. You got Omir Fernandez is still out. It's just, Goma's out, Serwata's out. All these guys that we thought were going to be contributors. And it's just not happening.
In a big way. Yeah.
And then I'm watching the fans do the wave.
And you're not going to entertain us. We'll just entertain ourselves. That's what it sounded like.
It was like, you guys suck so bad. We're gonna just have fun, and nobody was even paying attention to what was going on. And I had people in my section, that are they're so involved in the wave, they're not even paying attention to the fact that Morgan walked off the pitch, and we're down to 9 guys. Even realized it. And I was just like, I looked over at her and I said, maybe we should have left when it was 3-0.
We can't leave. It's fireworks night.
Laundry posted, like his picture, and I'm he took his abuse, and listen, I don't blame you for posting what you posted. I don't at all.
Thank you.
All right. I don't blame you for feeling how you felt.
I stand by it.
After the fireworks, I looked at my wife and I said, we stayed for this, because the fireworks show was not as good as it's been. They did not play Bulls on Parade. How do you have a fireworks night in our building and you don't end the show with Bulls on Parade?
That's a staple. I'm sorry. That's a staple.
Yeah. And it was only 4 songs long. And my wife looked, and she's like, she knew the first one, but the other 3 we didn't know. Now, granted, we're not up on all the pop music and what's current, but it's so, the music is so loud. It's like, all right, what do you have it turned to 11? And for those of you who
in years past, Mark, and they didn't have those booming speakers above you. Was bringing the heavy bass. They didn't have that. They had a decent, they had a decent sound system, but they really jacked it up. This year with, if you look toward the edge of the roof, you see those big monstrous booming speakers up there that I talked to our DJ Phil. He loves those because now he can bring the bass. But before, it was in between just loud and clock radio. That's basically it.
Yeah, well, we know where the team spent their money this offseason, and it wasn't on players; it was on the sound system. So it was disheartening.
I heard they're working on the. I've heard they're working on the lights and in the on the lobbies later, so it doesn't look. It has to feel like a dark warehouse, which is kind of funny because once upon a time, where they're sitting at, that's all you saw. Harrison was all about warehouses.
Yeah.
So they wanted to update, and refresh the arena because hey, remember it was 2009. It's almost 10 years old, almost 15 years old. So they want to keep it, they want to keep it fresh. They want to keep it, relative and everything else.
They did the floor last year, and when we had the calcium treatment, that sort of backfired because the floor became like an ice rink.
Yeah, but, slipping and sliding all over the place.
Now that it's
almost fell.
Fine, they put in the I didn't stay to watch the guys at the crossbar. We happened to see them on our way in. But as always, I grew up before they had the hearing protection as a drummer, and sorry, that just I didn't even know the name of the song. It's just but to not play Bulls on Parade. We walked out. We went out to the parking lot. Again, I run into, and I'm going to give him a shout out. Saw my buddy Marco, and it just. Talk for a little bit, and we both agreed the same thing. The reason why we show up is to see our friends who are like our second family. I go to the tailgate because I'm looking at, where's Lon Ray? And then Lisa tells me, oh, he's at a party. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember. It's, because you got all these other things going on in your life. So that's those few hours that I get to step away from my life, not worry about all the other stuff going on, and
it's an escape.
Yeah, and just relax. And it was so nice to spend that time with my wife and to be around my friends. And I had the game. Yeah, you want to forget, but you can't. Fireworks, like I said, I just the first thing I said to her after it was over, I looked at her and like, we stayed for this. Now I got to sit in 45 minutes of traffic for that. But it is what it is. So I get out. Now, some people had already left because some people didn't stick around. But we get out. It's the usual crawl. And one of the things that we've always gone back and forth on, we bitch when the stadium's not full. And when it's full, we bitch about how much traffic there is. You can't make us happy. You can't make us happy. It doesn't matter. We're always going to find something to complain. There's always something. But I dealt with the traffic. Listen. It was a nice feel, seeing everybody cheering and, getting up and getting ready for the game, seeing the stands fill up. It's a good feeling to see that building have 20,000 plus. I know we're going to talk about the girls in a little bit. They had over 11,000 ticket sales, their highest night ever.
But they came to see one player, not necessarily the home team. More on that in a bit.
Well, we're going to discuss that too because, Lon Ray sent me the link for the picture. There were so many problems because Calise was at the game. You had so many Peruvian fans that wanted to get his autograph, wanted to say hi to him. There was an incident outside the gate when they were supposed to be getting on the team bus. There were multiple people arrested
because they wanted to get an autograph from their hero. Hey, that's the distinct difference that my girlfriend talks about. Okay, it's a difference between soccer fans and sports fans who love soccer. Okay, soccer fans follow their heroes everywhere. It doesn't matter, where you are. The last time she stepped foot in the arena, in case anybody wants to know, all right, was 4 years ago. Her and her girlfriends went to a match, and the guys in South Ward were cheering and stuff like that. And then they stood up, and immediately they heard someone behind them saying, "Please sit down. I'm watching the game." And she immediately turned around and said, "Excuse me?" I said, we're here to watch the game. I said, this is we're standing up cheering for you guys and the team. This is what soccer fan. This is what soccer fans do. He said, well, I'm not a soccer fan. I pay good money for this seat to watch a game. That was the last time her and her girlfriends been to Red Bull Arena. That was it. She said, you know what? No offense, but she goes, it's a Jersey thing. I see it in the parks. I see it, she's a Devils fan. Seeing, Devils and stuff like that. They have a blasé attitude, except when their team wins. Now, when it comes to soccer, some folks, in suburbia, they see it as an ethnic sport. Now, she's not going to put any race or anything else like that, but it's a different vibe. Okay, you would see it if you had wall-to-wall South America, fans from South America there. It's a party, okay? They get in it. I mean, they do it nonstop. Here, it's soccer mom and dad central. So it's a different vibe. Nothing wrong with that. It's a different vibe. I remember back in the day, hold on, I know you're going to bring your point. I remember back in the day that during the Giant Stadium days, okay, some of the folks from around the area, Peruvians, Salvadorians, all those guys, okay, a couple of folks in Brazil, right? They had a bunch of girls, a samba dancing, on the opposite side of 101. Somebody complained because the women were too, how should I say, revealing. Okay. Came back fully clothed except for the feather hair and everything, feather hat and everything else, drums, stuff like that. There was like an army of 25, right? Then it became 10. Then it became 5. Then it was 0. Why? They got nothing but complaints that they were dancing and stuff like that in, suggest, sexual suggestion for little kids. Huh? I mean, this is what they do around the world. But I saw it and I felt it. I'm not putting my finger on that was the reason why, but that was the reason why the atmosphere changed. Okay. It's like somebody said, okay, we're going to do with the soccer mom crowd from here on out, until finally Major League Soccer came to its senses, okay, and said, okay, we're going to start focusing on the supporters. Some of the people in the mother soccer crowd, the mom and soccer crowd didn't like that. They said, all of a sudden, we're wholesome, this, that, and everything else. So what are you trying to tell me? You want to make your focus on young kids who drink a lot and belch and beer and all that other stuff? That's not what we're bringing. If you're going to focus on that, then I'm out. I'm not bringing my, I'm not bringing my wife. I'm not bringing my kids. I'm not bringing anybody. And, I know what soccer hooligans are like. They're not hooligans. They're just young 20-something-year-old having fun, getting together, watching a little footy, and then they go home. So you see, there's that mix. To me, Major League Soccer, not necessarily the Red Bulls, because they're from that, they're from that country that is football mad. You all know this. Okay, they're trying to bring that little special spice here in northern New Jersey, and it just ain't clicking. Okay, it just ain't clicking. So what do? Okay, so when you look at the schedule, when we get back to work, okay, you got 2 games, all back to back. You got Charlotte coming in on the 21st, and then less than 3 days later, you got Atlanta. There's going to be Pride Night, sunglasses giveaway. But it goes directly what this article was talking about, what we were talking about today. Fans come out for free stuff. They don't come out to see the team or anything else, but they come out for free stuff. And that's a question I love to have a discussion with Mark the Grand Prix. So how do you judge that balance? Okay. We all like to talk about the Grand Prix, but would you really want to have his job? Would you really want to deal with what he has to deal with? See, I look at it at both sides here. Okay. When the Van Zier incident blew up in his face, he was told by Major League Soccer, you can't put out a statement. What? Wait a minute. What do you mean we can't put out a statement? No. Can't put out a statement. Can't put out anything. They basically told him that Red Bull had to sit there and eat it. So fans literally went after Red Bull on MLS's blessing. That's right. You heard me. The dudes in Madison Avenue were calling the shots. Now, any other club would have got on that immediately, saying, "Look, we condemn. We don't, condone this. The guy's a fool. He bugging. We're gonna talk about this. We'll decide whether he's gonna stay in our club or not." But they were told no until it was all over. They were handling this, so they had to sit there and take the heat, which was unfair, very unfair. My respect for the Grand Prix went up, way up, because he cares. Although there's a lot of people that says that, they don't. And one other factor before we, move on to, our next segment, please keep in mind, folks, okay, because soccer around here ain't that big, especially here in the New York area. We are football, baseball, basketball, hockey. That's it. And they've been around for years. Soccer is, trying to make its way up. Big everywhere else, but not here. Unless you're the New York Cosmos. Now, that was a team that captured hearts and minds and the consciousness that back in the 70s. Problem was, in the NASL days, you all read the history, right? It was the Cosmos. It was everybody else. And that's why the NASL folded and hasn't been
cheap suit.
Folded like a cheap suit, and nothing was heard from for about 20, 25 years, aside from the World Cup. Did some friendlies in footballs in NFL stadiums. And indoor soccer. We're not going to talk about indoor soccer, although I got tickets for an indoor soccer game back in Long Island, but that's another story for another day. But soccer is just not that big enough. I mean, we were all watching soccer on the internet with screens about the size of a postage stamp, trying to follow our team across across the yard. But no, okay, nobody ever heard of the English Premier League back then. Most of
us older folks, we had to search and find our European games.
Just like it
wasn't like today.
Yeah, just like we got to search and find for U.S. Open Cup these days. Go figure.
That really stinks.
It was that bad. It was that bad. Trust me.
Yeah. It was horrible. It was just horrible. We didn't hear about it until months later because we didn't get the coverage. Nobody got the coverage. No, talk to Mark Fishkin. He'll give you some stories about back then trying to find footy over here. But the only footy we had was our national team and then maybe a couple of friendlies here and there back in the 70s. And I lived through it. Okay. Followed the Cosmos until they died at the Madison Square Garden as an indoor soccer team. That's it. This new integration, I know they came up out of nowhere. I have no idea. And I know they disappeared in, 5-level leagues back and all that other stuff. But in certain areas, and Lisa, you're absolutely right. Soccer is big time out in Long Island. Okay, that's why the New York Arrows, where I followed, had a huge following. Okay, had a very huge following because soccer out in Long Island was huge, especially from the youth set. Okay, New Jersey history. Okay, take a trip not very far from where we are. Okay, why did I forget the club? Why did I forget the town? Because the town is it's good. Thank you. History. Now I'm wondering why in the world Red Bull ain't tapping into that, despite the fact that it's a New York club. Why aren't they tapping into that history and and literally bringing it to the stadium? Literally, New Jersey has a huge history with soccer, especially American soccer. Most of our players who played in the national team hail from that town. But you don't see that anywhere. I thought that was a mistake. You need to bring that over. So, Portuguese, Brazilians, Newark. I mean, Lonray, we can go on and on and on and on. Okay, but they don't bring that flavor. Okay, they don't bring, they don't bring that flavor. They don't bring any of that. Okay, and I know, Red Bull tries, but
do they?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know, this is something I love to talk with Mark the Grampy about. Why, the atmosphere should be better. Win, lose, or draw. It shouldn't feel like we're feeling right now. Okay.
No.
What we're seeing, what I saw Saturday night, where fans only show up for free stuff. It breaks my heart. It really does. I will pledge my, and I love the team. I love I love you guys and the fan base. Many of you guys are my friends, but it hurts. It really, really hurts. It really, really hurts where, I go to the matches these days just to work. I mean, as a reporter, that's basically it. Okay. And I look to the left and I look to the right and I see empty seats. And if I don't see empty seats, I see something else. I feel an atmosphere. Now, the NYCFC game, that was a cracking atmosphere, but it was juiced up. But NYCFC fans in Jersey, I was, but here was the thing that made me proud that night, guys. Okay. This is why I say that on some exceptions, fans showed up for that match. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It was not all blue. As a matter of fact, it was more red than blue for that match. And we won. So imagine, we can't play NYCFC every damn week. It doesn't work that way. But there's got to be a way where they're able to bring in an atmosphere that makes everybody happy instead of us bitching all the time. So let's, turn the page on that and let's talk about Gotham FC. Big crowd, big doings. They made history. What was it? Was it 15K that show up in that game?
15,
and something went wrong. Something went wrong. I'll leave this to you guys. I mean, like 15, hey, people showed up for that match, but I'll let you explain what went wrong there.
Okay. So Gotham played San Diego Wave FC here in Harrison at Red Bull Arena back on, just yesterday. They rallied, the Wave rallied for a 1-0 victory at Gotham in front of a record crowd Red Bull Arena. 15,058 fans. That's a record crowd for Gotham FC at Red Bull Arena.
Imagine if you can do that every week.
Imagine
Imagine they can do that every week. I'd be more than impressed. I'd be giving them a standing ovation. Well done.
Yeah,
well done.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. They broke the record, but couldn't back it up with a win, unfortunately. The 58 fans in attendance, unfortunately, saw a loss, just like our boys did on Saturday. It was a 1-0 loss. Forward Mackenzie Doniak scoring the lone goal of the match, just 46 seconds into the second half.
Oh,
yikes!
did somebody forgot to play defense at that very moment? Oh,
someone I guess forgot to come back on after the restart.
She came off the bench and said, "Okay, I'm going to score this, and no one going to do anything about it." And then she did just that. Okay, shut up, everybody, and that's all, and that's it. Huffed and puffed and everything else, but San Diego is just a good crew.
They are. They extended their unbeaten run to 4 games in the league, and they put them in, and they went up to second place in the league, level on points with leaders Portland, but behind on goal difference with the Portland Thorns. Meanwhile, the loss drops Gotham from second to 4th place, level with 4th place Washington Spirit on points, but also behind on goal differential.
They got drop kicked. Ouch.
Yeah.
A week ago, they were like partying and, hey, we in first. Not anymore. One loss. That's all it took. One loss. Knock them out. Yikes.
I'll head on the road to take on the Houston Dash on Sunday at kickoff, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The match you can catch on Paramount Plus.
I was thinking about taking Paramount Plus off my streaming list. Mark, New York Red Bull 2, which is probably the reason why I'm wearing this shirt. It did well. Okay. New England came in, scored a goal.
I got
those young guns mad. I heard they got mad after that and said, "Okay,
they were fired up." All right, so New York Red Bulls 2, 4-1 winner over New England Revolution 2. They sweep the season series. The home side opened the scoring in the 4th minute. Midfielder Ronald Duncore intercepted a pass from just outside the box, made a run to the end line, sent a low ball into the box, was finished off by forward Julian Hall. New England equalized 3 minutes later as midfielder Jack Panayoto scored off a centering pass from, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. But I'll tell you what, both goals very similar. It was like watching a replay. It was amazing. New York doubled the advantage first half stoppage time. Midfielder Ibrahim Kasul caught off a New England pass, threaded the ball through to Donkor, made a run in the box, and struck a shot into the net. Red Bulls 2 scored their fourth of the match in the 71st minute on a goal from Kasul, following a feed from defender Jaden Reed. The victory for New York completes the regular season sweep of New England. 4 goals were a season high, and most of the match since October 30th of 2021.
And
so almost bonus, 2 years ago.
They're sitting in third place.
Yeah. And that was the 2021 match. They defeated Loudoun United. Always a lovely thing to do. And that was a 4-1 victory as well. The Baby Bulls will face New York City 2 on Sunday, June 11th at Belson Stadium.
And we will be there.
On MLS Season Pass and Apple TV.
There.
The New York Red Bulls app and on NYRBDG.com.
Not as a reporter, but definitely as a fan. I will be there just to watch.
I'm gonna tell you.
It's been a while since I've been in Benson.
The 4 guys that we have added recently, Donkor, Thomas, Kasul, and Sabufu. These 4 guys are ballers. I watched the game last night, and I was watching these guys thread passes. Jaden Reed has been exceptional. There's a couple other guys, they're looking pretty good. But we just signed these 4 guys. We were talking about the team not signing people. 3 of these 4 guys were brought from outside of our country. They were brought from Africa. The other thing that we talked about, too, was the whole situation with our interim coach. He was told he was going to be a coach to the end of the season just to calm the waters, as far as I'm concerned. It just keeps us from getting, we're going to start searching. I'm sure they're going to start searching. I'm sure they're already searching. I think we already have our coach, and he's down at Red Bull too. Because I look at what Ibrahim has done down there with this team and working with Bradley, because I spoke to both of them last night after the match, and it's been an amazing turnaround to see the difference between last year's 2 team and this year's 2 team. Yeah, they got rid of a couple of the academy kids that weren't doing the job. They brought a couple kids up, they signed some players, and these guys are going after it.
Speaking of academy kids, they walked down there and got themselves a trophy. I mean, it's
hardware.
They got some hardware. It's just terrific. That once upon a time, not too long ago, and we're running out of show, so we're going to wrap this up. Not too long ago, that we were worried about, the academy, that it was, didn't have the coaching staff, the players just wasn't around, and it was basically drifting aimlessly, with no direction. Since then, it was a total reboot. They brought in one guy, and then they brought in some coaches, and they brought in some players, and all of a sudden, remember, it is the only academy in the metropolitan area where kids can come in and play for free. Okay, so this is what they do. They cast a wide net for all these kids in the metropolitan area, and then they see maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 guys, and then they, if I'm not mistaken, Mark, they bring them in the fold, to bring them into football. It's been a successful formula, and now you're seeing the fruits of it in the New York Red Bull 2 team. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for more signings like this, and it opens the door for many of these guys to make it to the first team. Sabufu, I can see him on the first team next year. You agree?
I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be. I've seen him, and there's a couple other guys, like I said, that could end up taking some spots, because I think next year we're going to be cleaning house, And when you talk about
AJ will definitely get a call up.
When you start looking, like when you were talking about, like, how things work, just to give everybody a little insight into how our academy works. My kids were part of the Red Bull program. They attended a summer camp. They attended winter camp. There are notes on every single child that shows up. They see how these kids perform while they're in the camp. You look at the plaque. I know it's down by the Horizon Gate. But you see the plaque with all the different youth soccer clubs that are affiliated with Red Bull, and many more have been added. My old organization is now participating as well. They at one point were part of New York City, and they left and they moved over to Red Bull,
right?
Which, of course, I was really happy to hear. These kids from all over, and this is like going out to Long Island, halfway to Albany, and all the way out to the Delaware Water Gap. You're talking about a huge, huge area where they are looking at what this young talent does. And like Gary said, when they spot someone, it could be one kid, it could be two kids, it could be three kids. They sit down and they talk with the parents and say, listen, we want your son to come play. And it doesn't cost them a nickel. And that's one of the greatest things, because every other academy charges money. And that's one of those things that we've talked about for U.S. soccer. What holds U.S. soccer back? Money.
Pay for play.
Yeah. Because if your parents are rich enough,
I'm sorry,
they'll get you in. Yeah.
I've had debates with this with many folks who think otherwise. Is that, well, coaches got to get paid. Some of these coaches, they get paid and they don't develop, at all. Okay, there's just a bunch of guys with an English accent, fake or otherwise, and they got these kids running around, getting their sugar rush. Or you can set up a development program so they can be the next ballers. Not everybody can play in the NBA. Not everybody can play in the NFL. And there's only less than a third. I mean, less than 2-3% that have the stones or the stamina to be a Major League Baseball player. When you go to see Major League Baseball, you are looking at the best of the best. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody else is in the lower leagues. You got to go through levels to be a ball, to be a ball in the Major League. That's why I appreciate Major League. It definitely weeds out, the scrubs and basically the talent list. You got to be 5 tool in order to be looked at by a scout. I honestly feel that Major League Soccer can go through the same route, but the one thing that we're all thankful for the Red Bulls is this: they put that into practice. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't see Tyler Adams. We wouldn't be seeing and even Edelman, who had a great run with the under 19 World Cup, ended in the hands of our friends from Uruguay. But we're going to be getting him back soon. I mean, they, in the games that he was not there, we missed him. Okay. But big clubs are looking at him. Who knows how long he's going to be there?
No, when you were talking about baseball before, if you look at the 40-man roster that 30 teams have, that's 1,200 bodies that will play baseball during the course of one season. And how many millions of people are in the U.S.? It takes so much work and so much dedication to
from
get
college
to that level.
To the minors, or to the show.
Because some guys don't even go to college. They get drafted out of high school and start in rookie ball when they're 17. And we have our kids coming up through the academy from a young age. And when we see a guy like Tyler coming through, we're not going to get a Tyler every year.
No, it's generational.
But we just had Tyler. Caden Clark, obviously that didn't, pan out as well. I think part of that was the injury, and I just think something happened. Something changed.
It wasn't the same.
Yeah. And I think also being coached by Struber, just something didn't click there. So, but you see Danny Edelman.
Because he tuned him out like everybody else.
And last year, watching Edelman play with the second team, I knew he was coming up. I knew it.
Yeah.
And, it was just, it was great to watch him. It's been great watching Omir come up. I mean, unfortunately, I think Omir has been injured more than probably he needed to be, over the course of his couple of years playing up with the first team. Every opportunity he's had, he's scored. He's made himself known. I just wish he would stay healthy, because I think he's got skills. But that's the thing we talked about, even in Dom. The guy was left unprotected. He was drafted by Cincinnati. He was sent down to what they called the Miami FC at the time. And he spent a year down there, bounced around, He wasn't even signed to a team in 2021. You know, he was playing in his home country, just playing amateur ball, wasn't playing professionally. And last year we picked him up. And when we saw him at the 2 game and we knew he had been signed, I showed him a picture from 2017 with him and my 2 kids and one of their best friends. And the dude had to turn away because he was in tears. Because he saw the love we had for him and we saw what we saw in him.
I always admired him.
I never understood why we didn't protect him. You can't protect everybody, obviously.
No.
But
it's a business. No.
Is he the greatest guy we had? Listen, we let him go because we had Tim Parker and Aaron Long.
That's why.
And that's why he wasn't able to stay around. But now we needed him back. He was available. We got him, and he has done a good job for us. Is he the best center back in the country? No. But has he filled the role?
You don't get MLS level by saying, down in the minors for very long. No. I'm sure there's a lot of center backs out there, because we're running on a show now. I know there's a lot of center backs there, but I'm glad Nadam is back with us because he's definitely helping us out. Of course, naturally, Mr. Reyes, he's not going to be around for a while. We're not going to see him until Atlanta. So the one thing about him, he's talented as hell, but he makes mistakes, dumb mistakes. Same thing, same thing with Neelis, Dylan. He's had his good days. He has his bad days. Based on all of that, gentlemen, let's put a capper on this first half of our season and ask the number one question. Okay. Do you feel that it's necessary for us to miss the playoffs just to, cull the dead weight?
Honestly.
Yeah. Honestly.
I do. I don't give a damn about the playoff streak whatsoever if we just get bounced out in the first round every single year. It's really not going to improve us if we continue the playoff streak. If we extend it to 14 years, honestly, just tank the season. Whatever happens, don't hold it against Troy. But if you don't feel that, maybe he's not the right coach for the job, and that's an if, then just bring up Ibrahim Sagaya from RB2. But also, just this season, it just feels like such a waste on the field. And
I'm not feeling retreads, but I'll explain why. Mark, your feelings on the playoff picture? We got a lot of games.
This whole situation. Yeah. I mean, we have 18 left.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, 17. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that we can get things turned back in a better direction, play well enough to get into the playoffs, but we're not going to go anywhere. So it's sort of like we were talking about the whole playoff streak earlier today. What's the point, right? Is it going to put more people in the stands? No. Is it something to brag about?
I mean, everyone's going to be like, "Oh, these guys again."
Yeah. I mean, let's.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't see us trash talking, the city fans at the next Derby game, at Yankee Stadium or something, going, see, we made it, 14 years in a row we've been in the playoffs. And they just have to point to that star over their crest. Because there's nothing we can say about it. Because, as you can see, the Red Bulls, too, had their star when they were in USL. Now they had it taken away. Right? But that's, everybody's on the, but they got it. That banner's still hanging up at MSU on the parking garage. By the way, biggest parking deck in all of USL. That was our bragging point. But I don't see that there's any point in making the playoffs if we're not going to go anywhere. Just
more importantly, my thing is, I'm going to close the show with this. I mean, we can easily brag. We can easily, bang on the coach, for the performance, but I'm not going to harp on Troy too much because one, he just got here. Okay. Yeah. And the second reason is, like Troy and like everyone else in the real world, we have a boss. Okay. And it's up to them to give them what we need. Now we know exactly what, the folks who sell the tickets, promote the team, all that. They got a tough job as it is trying to sell the New York Red Bulls to a very skeptical soccer audience in this metropolitan area. However, if you try to pull things together and try not to solve everyone's problems and just stick to winning soccer, fans will very quickly around here figure it out. Okay, this is a good team that needs to be supported. What's going on with them? The other thing I want this organization, and I've said this many times to them, take care of the people who show up. I don't care how. You take care of them. Okay, because they're going to mean the difference between you having a full house one day and you having an empty one because you didn't take care of them. That's just facts. Now they got 17 games to somehow straighten this up, to make the season somewhat respectable. I'm in the opinion that it's better if they don't make the playoffs. I want this team stripped down, and there's some pieces that need to go because we tried, we held on to as long as we can. Time to upgrade in areas that need to be upgraded. One of them is the midfield. We got a midfield by committee, and none of those guys can get it done. Okay, with the exception of maybe Lukinis, none of these guys can get it done. Caceres, he's there, he's not. Okay,
when he decides he's balling.
When he decides to balling. Omir Fernandez, I love him, but you spot start him, and you hope that he brings a little bit of magic, which he does from time to time. Okay, but he needs to start. Cameron Harper, when he's not injured. Cameron Harper, love his skill set, but he's better, much more in a defender than a winger. Okay, I can go on. Okay, the defense, there's a couple of guys that we don't need. I mean, no offense, I love Kyle Duncan.
Say
mistakes.
just say Nealis. Doesn't matter which
Nealis. He's not a starter to me, but you're starting the guy. Okay, he's improving here and there.
Because you need a body. That's the problem.
That's my thing.
But I don't understand why we brought Kyle
ballers
back.
in the league that are 5 times better than him, and without the high price tag.
We could have picked up anybody from USL.
Anybody. Never mind
Devontae
USL.
Mullins played well.
Yeah, never mind USL.
Why did we sign Duncan?
Never mind USL. Never mind USL. There are guys right now in Major League Soccer still looking for a job. Find a right, find a right winger or somebody. I mean, we're thinking that maybe, they can sign it, but I'm not holding my breath on that. I'm not.
You think about if we continue through this season, if we lose Edelman, if somebody decides to take a flyer on Token and they give him up, we're out 2 very young bodies. Who's filling those shoes?
My point exactly.
Can anyone fill those shoes?
When you look at this roster, they're holes. I mean, I want to give this team praise, and I do, for their hard work and whatever. Every time they play a game, they're never out of it. They're a tough out, which should bring a warm, cackles to their heart, because they're always fighting. Okay, when you fight, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and there are better ballers out there on other clubs. Cincinnati right now sitting on top of the East and the Roost. But once upon a time, they were Wooden Spoon Central.
Back to
now
back.
Look where they are.
Back to back to back.
Back to back. Look where they are now. Why? Because their brain trust got together and said, okay, we need to spend some money. We need to be smart about this. We can't be like, Real Madrid and start signing out Galacticos. They can't do that. This is not that type of league. But they went out and drafted. But they went out and built. Now, what kills me is that we have a front office who I like to think that they're smart guys. I like to think that they're they're competent of their jobs, but I see the results and it infuriates me. It does. It infuriates me, because not for myself, for all you guys. I mean, I'm sure you guys want to see a good club, and it's just not happening. We see, from time to time, this is yet going to be at this moment, unless a miracle happens, we're going to yet see another club raise a banner before we do. We're going to end it right there. So our next show is on the 19th. We're going to take ourselves a break because it's the international break. Of course, there's much to discuss that. We have a quick little recap show. Like I said, I'm hoping that we can able to bring the gentleman who wrote that terrific article in the Medium. Hopefully, we can have to flesh that out. How he feels about the the atmosphere at Red Bull Arena, and what are the steps he thinks this should improve, for the fans overall. Of course, there will be the original three, myself, Carlos. I think he'd be back from his wonderful vacation. He keeps sending us photos from the beach and getting us all jealous and whatnot. Miguel is right now currently traveling. He should be returning as well. Gentlemen, Mark, Lon Ray, as always, excellent work. Thank you so much for for being there tonight. And for all of you in the live audience, once again, if you missed the show, don't worry about it. As always, you can be able to catch us on, of course, on the YouTube channel, which is now live, and of course on the audio on Spotify.com. And we thank you guys for your participation. So it's for Mark Kotz, for Lon Red by Must. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate your support and your visit. We will see you guys on the 19th. Until then, goodbye for now.